Greetings and salutations, friends. Thanks for checking out episode 2 of my Ninja Gaiden No Death Run. At least that's what I hope it's going to turn out to be. And here we have Ryu waking up in the cell saying, "Where am I?" And she says, "I see the anesthetics wearing off." My acting's great, isn't it? "Who are you?" "Shh, don't make so much noise. I've got a favor to ask of you." "Here, take this and escape." "What is this statue?" It looks a lot like a xenomorph, actually. "There's no time to explain. Hurry." "Hey, wait, who are you?" And I think that's a... oh, well, no, that's not it. "Didn't you try to kill me?" "Someone's coming. Be careful." I don't know why Irene has such a husky voice. I guess I should try a falsetto. So, this is where the game starts to get a little more challenging. On the first level, you didn't really have any pits to deal with or anything like that. Here we do. And oddly enough, I think this is probably the hardest stage to get used to when you're first starting out. Later in the game, things get much more difficult, but this is really where you're going to become a better player, because this is where all of the skills you need, this is where you have to develop them. As you see, I just kind of try to keep the momentum going while seeing what's around me, because enemies spawn when you step in certain spots with this game. That's why people often have trouble with like an enemy popping up and they kill it and it pops up again, and then they jump over it and it pops up again, and they're just kind of stuck in this loop. It's because of where they're standing. And it took me a while to figure that out myself, but once you kind of get that, this game becomes a lot more manageable. As you can see, that knife guy respawned after I killed him because of where I was standing. Oh, well, so much for this being a no damage run. Fortunately, I'm not going to die. I did practice this a few times, not too much because I'm rather familiar with it. Those knife throwers are one of the more annoying enemies in the game. I actually really like them. I like their design. I don't know why. They remind me of something. In fact, this game makes me think of Big Trouble in Little China. I screwed up here and accidentally picked up the throwing star, which is the worst secondary weapon in the game, so not a good trade-off. But we'll get Jump Slash back. Yeah, I don't know why I think of Big Trouble in Little China. It's really... I don't know if it borrows any ideas from it. I haven't seen that movie in like 20 years. It would be funny if it did, though. I have to see when that was made. I don't know. That statue certainly made me think of something from Alien, though. And there I get hit again. I don't do too badly, though. I am going to take hits when I get to the boss, because I want to show how Jump Slash works. Of course, it's great against these guys, because you can just use it to get to the platforms and not even have to worry about them. It's actually quite funny. So here we have this guy. I tried to destroy his, like, sickle thing. It didn't work out. I ended up killing him, but you can destroy that when he extends it. Of course, he dies here, and we went Spin Slash, took him out in, I think, 2 hits, maybe 3, I didn't count. What is this bizarre statue, anyway? And who was that woman? As I grew more and more suspicious, I went off to look for that. It's like William Shatner. He pauses a lot. Supposed acquaintance of my father's, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, what a great name. So, this is the end of the action part of the video. I am going to talk a little bit more about the game. If you guys want to stay for that, you can. It's really just going to be me talking, though, so if you're not interested in that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you are interested in listening to me talk about the game a little more, then just keep watching the video. And so there were a few things I kind of realized about Ninja Gaiden while playing it through so far that kind of got past me. I think part of that was because I maybe first played this when I was about 8, 9 or something like that. I was still pretty young. So this game's always kind of just been there for me. So there's a lot of things that I never really thought about. One of those things that I thought was really kind of cool and interesting is if you go back to the intro video at the start screen, where it basically just tells you about Ryu's father and how he gets defeated in a duel and all that, when the two ninjas jump at each other with their swords out and they come back down, you can actually see what looks like blood on one of the ninja's sword, which is really kind of cool for an NES game because they really tried to censor all that stuff out, and it looks like it got past them. That actually happened in Ninja Gaiden 2, which we'll see when I play that game. Another thing with the cutscenes that I noticed was I never really thought of what Irene, who's the female character we saw earlier in this episode, I never thought of like why she was there. Like, what was she doing in the bar with the barbarian? Of course, we'll find out more about her later, so I am going to tell people this is a spoiler. So if you don't want to hear that, then skip it. But she is a CIA agent, and like it's never really explained if I remember correctly. But my guess is, I guess she was working undercover there, was trying to infiltrate this group. And she saw Ryu and shot him with a tranquilizer dart. I guess so she could question him, or maybe she knew what he was doing. We'll find out a little more about the CIA's involvement in this game, and the story of the game. Of course, I don't think they were actually involved in the game. It paints a rather unflattering picture of them towards the end, actually, but we'll find out how they're involved in the story later on. So I thought that was all interesting stuff. It's kind of obvious if you think about it for a few minutes, but like I said, I was a kid when I played this game, so I just it's all just kind of stuff I took for granted and didn't really think through. And I looked up a few things about the development of this game. They called the cutscenes Tecmo Theater. That was their big thing. And they were pretty proud of it because it seems like it took some effort to set that up. And you can actually read a little bit about it on Wikipedia. It's interesting stuff. And I also was always under the assumption that Ninja Gaiden on the NES was a port of the arcade game. Apparently that's not true though. They were supposedly made around the same time by Tecmo. The arcade Ninja Gaiden's like a beat 'em up. I've never really played it too much. I played a little bit of the DOS version, which seems to be a port of the arcade version. Of course, this is all getting, I guess, a little complicated, but it's a very different type of game. The NES game, on the other hand, certainly seems to have taken ideas from Castlevania. I was trying to kind of learn a little bit about Team Ninja. Of course, they have a whole history now, because they did the Xbox Ninja Gaiden games. I think they did Dead or Alive. So they did this game. It was an original thing. They took some ideas from Castlevania. They had their ideas for the cutscenes, and it made a really big impression on people. I remember reading about it many years ago in like Nintendo Power, and they said they had people calling in asking what would happen in the next cutscene. I guess, because this game was a little on the tough side, people would often get to a certain point, get stuck for a while, not be able to proceed. And I guess they wanted to know what would happen. I have to say the story is fairly consistent and well thought out for a 1989 Nintendo game. It's pretty good. I like the characters, and they're all interesting and well done. And there's a lot of stuff in it that's really kind of edgy for NES. They didn't want religious symbolism or talk about like certain things and blood and stuff in their games. So you have these demon statues in Ninja Gaiden. You have the bloody sword. You'll see some other things later on that are pretty dark. especially in Ninja Gaiden 2, which is quite possibly the best game in the series. I think a lot of people would probably agree with me on that. I like them all, but I think that one was the high point. This one's really great. I love playing it right now. I'm working on the walkthrough for it. It's a pretty complex process, so it might take me a little time to finish it, and it will certainly take me a little time to do these videos because I'm doing the walkthrough, which is written, and I'm practicing for the videos so I'm actually able to do the no death run. So I don't know when the next one will come up. Hopefully in maybe a couple of days. I don't really recall the third act being too difficult. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, good luck and happy gaming.